Mr. Trump should have held firm and not agreed to take part in Singapore until Pyongyang offered meaningful concessions. U.S. officials are meeting with North Korean officials in Panmunjom to discuss a potential summit between U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jung Un, according to the State Department. Spokesperson Heather Nauert said in a statement Sunday preparations continue for a meeting between the president and North Korean leader Kim Jung Un. Trump announced Thursday he was withdrawing from the scheduled June 12th meeting in Singapore, only to say on Friday that the summit might be back on. On Saturday, he said conversations about a potential summit were going along very well. In North Korea, state media reported Saturday that it's North Korean leader Kim's fixed will that a summit with Trump in Singapore should go ahead. South Korean President Moon Jae-in met Saturday with Kim Jung Un near the two Koreas' heavily militarized border. The leaders exchanged views on how to prepare for the North's possible summit with Trump, according to the South Korean presidential office. South Korean President Moon Jae-in has suggested his impromptu get-together Saturday with North Korean leader Kim Jung Un could herald more such meetings to, in his words, expedite faster advancement of inter-Korean relations. He even suggested he could participate in a three-way summit with the North and the United States next month. That summit appears, for now, to be on track with the United States and North Korean diplomats meeting at least through the night Tuesday at the truce village of Panmunjom.
Well, President Trump not going into detail about his strategy for dealing with North Korea. During an interview with the Reuters news agency yesterday, Mr. Trump says he's not ruling out diplomacy despite failed attempts in the past. The president saying, "I'm not sure that talks will lead to anything meaningful. They've talked for 25 years, and they've taken advantage of our presidents, of our previous presidents." He goes on to say, "We're playing a very, very hard game of poker, and you don't want to reveal your hand."
Tufts University assistant professor and chair of the Kim Korea Foundation, Sung-Yoon Lee, tells VOA's Victor Beattie Mr. Trump should have held firm and not agreed to take part in Singapore until Pyongyang offered meaningful concessions.
Now the U.S. has gotten North Korea to chase after the United States instead of the North Koreans calling the shots. It's very much in the North Korean strategic playbook. They agree to meetings, they agree to agreements, and then violate them, and then cancel meetings, walk out right in the middle of negotiations, and they are able to get the other party, often big powers like the U.S., sort of hanging, chasing after North Korea. And of course, in interpersonal relations, in secular life, the party that plays hard to get always enjoys the greater leverage.
How do you account for the president's withdrawal and then reinsertion of the U.S. into a proposed U.S.-North Korea summit?
Well, I think the president always wanted to effect the summit meeting. He wanted to meet with Kim Jung Un, perhaps moved by hubris or an underestimation of the North Korean leader, or even dreams of winning the Nobel Peace Prize. He has shown much zeal, eagerness in meeting with the North Korean dictator. So I think he grew a little fed up that the North Koreans were a no-show in the preparatory meeting scheduled in Singapore. I think he was insulted perhaps by North Korea's harsh rhetoric in recent days by Kim Gae-kwan and Madam Choi, Chae Sun-hee. But of course he has been called a mentally deranged dotard in response to his name-calling of Kim as a rocket man on a suicide mission. So the latest vile rhetoric or disparaging remarks are not really anything new. So I think he was showing his frustration and maybe doing a bit of posturing. And I guess that was effective because Trump's very discourteous letter snubbing Kim Jong Un, canceling the show, the summit meeting, engendered an uncharacteristically civilized North Korean response. But it was a very short-lived leverage because in 24 hours, President Trump changed his mind.
Sung-Yoon Lee said the Kim-Moon meeting Saturday suggested to him a certain vulnerability on the part of the North Korean leader, whose long-term planning has been interrupted by global sanctions. He said while the North Korean leader is looking for both sanctions relief and legitimacy for his regime, a long, drawn-out negotiation process with the United States will allow him time to advance his nuclear capability.
When Donald Trump pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal, he was quick to add that he'd love to renegotiate a, quote, better deal with the Iranians.
They are going to want to make a new and lasting deal. When they do, I am ready, willing, and able.
Trump made similar comments when he withdrew from the Paris Climate Accord last year.
We will all sit down and we will get back into the deal and we'll make it good.
Same thing when Trump pulled the U.S. out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership free trade deal and reversed the Obama administration's warming of relations with Cuba. Most recently, Trump said the same thing when he walked away from planned talks with North Korean leader Kim Jung Un. It's classic Trump. As a real estate developer, Trump regularly talked up the value of walking away from the table.
To some degree, I think Donald Trump has carried over his real estate negotiations to international negotiations. You always ask for more, you press the other side real hard, you assume they want a deal, so if you pull out, it makes them more willing to come your way to throw you some extra, benefits.
But what works in real estate doesn't necessarily work in complex international negotiations.
I think part of the problem here is that in almost any commercial negotiation, it's a matter of money for the most part. And you can argue you give somebody a little bit more. If you're still making money, you're still fairly happy.
But in an international environment, there's a bigger range of actors with incentives that aren't just financial. It's a whole different game, says Trump biographer Gwenda Blair.
He grew up in real estate. He worked on construction projects with his dad. He knows how buildings get built. So he didn't have to do a whole bunch of homework. He doesn't know anything about North Korea, nor, I venture to say, does practically anybody else.
Supporters say Trump is just waiting for a better deal for the American people. But so far, whether it's Iran, the Paris Climate Accords, or the Trans-Pacific Partnership, no new deals have emerged. It's too soon to say whether the tactic will work with North Korea.